Welcome to my garage studio, also known as the Kupo Cave. And in this behind the scenes video of how I did the Benro TablePod Flex tripod video, you're gonna see not only the gear that I used, but also why I made the decisions that I did. So enjoy.
Here we see my awesome Fujifilm X-T4 mounted atop something everybody should have, which is a Benro ArcaSmart 7D plate. It is great, it rhymes. And under that is Benro's 3-axis geared head. Precise work or not, I think everybody should own one. Instead of screwing around with a ball head, you just adjust the knobs and boom, you're good. And then the Benro Bat tripod, all of which are excellent. What I love about the ArcaSmart 7D, and I've got like 2 or 3 of them, that's how great they are, is that not only is it a camera plate, but it also folds out and can hold your phone as well, really securely too. Here's a slider shot of my overhead mirrorless camera setup using an older myop slider. I believe they have a newer one out now. I've got one of my Fuji bodies mounted up there to a Kupo 1/4-20 threaded mounting plate with a 5/8 inch baby stud on the other end going into a Kupo convi clamp, which is then attached to a Kupo aluminum bar spanning 2 cupoles. That aluminum bar is then attached to those cupoles via double convi clamps. You'll be seeing that setup here in a little bit. Now in the background for some color, I've got a pair of small Photix M200R LED units. Those are another item that I think everybody should have. Most everybody. It makes this shot more interesting, I think, than seeing nothing but gray ceiling. I shot this a little dark, so let's snap our fingers and fix that. Okay, that's much better. This is the setup for the shot that you just saw of my Fuji X-T4 on the aluminum bar. At the bottom, you see the Benro Bat tripod with the myop slider atop it, then a myop's capsule 360 unit, that puck looking thing right there. And above that, a Benro 3-way geared head with a Benro ArcaSmart 70 plate attached to the foot of my Fuji 50-140 2.8, and then that's attached to my X-T3 shooting 4K 24p video. Behind that setup, hiding the currently messy Kupo Cave as I reorganize things, is the black side of a V-flat World V-flat. On the ground is a couple of Photix M200Rs adding some blue light to the V-flat backdrop, and above is another M200R which is lighting the camera setup with some 4000K light so it matches my garage's overhead lighting and everything's all matchy-matchy. Now, the carbon fiber legs on my Benro Bat are awesome, but I wanted to spice this shot up, so I busted out my Smoke Genie, and check it out. I think that's a pretty cool shot. Totally gratuitous, but I don't care. It's my video. And while we're at it, we might as well just go spice things up with that Smoke Genie and add a lot more smoke in the background. I think that's really cool. I don't know. It can be overdone, so you definitely want to use it with care, but check that out. I like it. I think it's pretty cool. Maybe something's burning in the kitchen. I don't know. My Fuji X-T3 was looking a little dark, so I turned that Photix M200R on that I had above it and a little forward of the lens. And since it's LED constant lighting, you can move it around and see how much light you want on it and from what angle. Dial it up, dial it down, all that good stuff. It's a very handy thing to have. And the closer you get it in, the more you're lighting it and not the backdrop. Obviously, you're going to turn it down so you're not blowing out the backdrop, but you guys know this. Here's a pullback shot. We're going to steady things here. We got that 40-inch Kupo boom arm attached to a click stand from Kupo as well, which is awesome. That one's an 8-foot model, but it's not up at 8 feet, of course. And attached to that is a Photix umbrella adapter with that M200R at the end of it. Here's a slider shot of my top-down photo and video setup where I also do my unboxings. Those will now be done, though, using my Benro TablePod Flex and my iPhone because that'll be a lot easier to do. Atop some Kupo click stands, you'll see a pair of Nanlite Compact 200B LED panels lighting things up. Some blue light on the backs of them thanks to those Photix M200Rs, and another M200R up on those containers from Costco that everyone seems to have, with some green light in the background there. Now, if you look closely at the bottom of the screen, you'll see my Benro TablePod Flex, and this gives you a good idea of the setup here. The table is basically a section of those shelves that you see in the background. I got those as well from Costco, and I believe a company named Wayland makes them. On the table, serving as a nice wooden backdrop, is 3 sections of vinyl wood flooring that I got from the Home Depot. Now, behind the compact 200B units, you can see a pair of Kupo poles going from the ground up to the ceiling. Then across those is that Kupo aluminum background pole in those double convi clamps, also from Kupo. That's a really secure setup, and I trust my expensive camera gear hanging from it for months at a time. Now, you wouldn't go swinging off it like it's a jungle gym set, but for this setup, it's perfectly great. The Nanlite Compact 200Bs are awesome, I tell you. You can not only change the color temperature, but you can dial them way down or way up for tons of quality light. Here I am tightening down the double convi clamps. You can see it holding the aluminum pole as well as clamping on to the coup pole. Now, without any extra lighting, this is a really boring shot of a coup pole and that aluminum bar going across and my boring neutral gray backdrop, also known as the ceiling. Add a little bit of light from an M200R. This isn't that great of a shot right here, but you get the idea. Blue in the background, yellow in the foreground, and at least it's not as boring. Now, this shot I like way better. Again, the black side of a V-flat world V-flat in the backdrop there to hide the messy parts of the Kupo cave with some blue light on it thanks to an M200R, various gearboxes on the shelves there on the right, some lighting camera left thanks to a compact 200B, and you can see how you operate the lever on a coup pole to provide the tension that you need to keep that pole in place going from the floor to the ceiling. Looking up from the table below, we see my Fuji X-T3 and lens mounted on that aluminum pole. And here we see me mounting that setup to the aluminum pole. Right there is a convi clamp from Kupo. We're going to tighten it down on the aluminum pole. And then we're going to take my camera, we're going to mount one of those mounting plate adapters. It's 1/4 on one side, it's a baby pin on the other. And we're going to put it in the hole that is in the other side of the convi clamp. You press this metal button on the side, it slides in, it's a bit of a safety thing. You tighten it down and you are good to go. It is solidly in place and secure. That's all it takes. From the other side of that shot, you see in the upper right of the frame, one of those 4-foot Artica lights that you can get at Costco. They've had them for a number of years now. A Nanlite 200B, which was basically lighting me and the pole. And bottom right of my 50 to 140 2.8 Fuji lens is an M200R with 4000 degree Kelvin light dialed in, attached to a Kupo Max arm, which has one end going into a Kupo convi clamp attached to a coup pole. Both the Max arm and convi clamps are a must-have. Whether you own a coup pole or not, you'll use them like crazy to get lights and even your camera into just the right spot. You position that Max arm in 3D space, you tighten down that wheel, or they've got a lever version as well, and boom, it's right there. I love it. And yes, I didn't need an M200R back there with a blue light on it for this shot, but I wanted to pretty things up and went for it. Done. I used some of the extra fake wooden flooring that I had so you can see the Kupo click stand right here. And here you see Benro's awesome Mi Video live stream stand, which has a smaller footprint so you can get lights into a lot tighter spots. And here I put them together so you can see just how smaller of a footprint that live stream stand is from Benro than the Kupo click stand, which is also awesome, but has a bigger footprint and is made to carry a lot more weight. And since this is a BTS video, here's a shot looking up from the floor at my Fujifilm X-T4, which was shooting down at those stands. Again, I've got my X-T4 attached to a Benro ArcaSmart 70 tripod plate. Below that is a Benro 3-way geared head with a round 3/8/16 camera plate threaded into it. Then that goes into an umbrella adapter that's attached to the end of a steel Kupo baby boom on a Kupo 20-inch Master C stand with turtle base. Looking down from that, you see my Fuji X-T3 attached to a Benro bat tripod, which I love so much. You can get those legs in all kinds of crazy positions, including upward.
Thanks for watching the BTS of the Benro TablePod Flex video. And if you're into photography podcasts, go ahead and type in PetaPixel in your favorite podcast app. That's PetaPixel for the PetaPixel Photography Podcast, the show I created almost 8 years ago now. Thank you so much.